About 22 years ago, I was just an ordinary guy. I worked as an operations manager at a small logistics warehouse, making around $45,000 a year. Nothing fancy, just enough to pay the bills. My wife, Allison, came from a completely different world. Her family had old money, club memberships, weekend yacht trips, multiple houses. The kind of family where nobody really works, but everyone has strong opinions about people who do. When I proposed to Allison, her father invited me into his office. He slid a thick document across the desk. It was a prenuptial agreement, and he looked me straight in the eye and said, "If you truly love my daughter, you shouldn't have any problem signing this." The document was very clear. What's hers stays hers. What's yours stays yours. I didn't hesitate. At the time, I honestly didn't care about their money. I just wanted to marry Allison and start a life together. For the first several years, things were actually good. We had 3 kids. Our oldest, Ethan, then our daughter, Sophia, and a few years later, our youngest, Luke. Allison stayed home with the kids while I focused on building my career. But her family never really warmed up to me. To them, I was always the guy with the average job who somehow ended up with their daughter. Then, about 14 years into our marriage, everything changed. Allison's father's business collapsed. Bad investments and legal problems wiped out most of their wealth. The big houses were sold, the club memberships disappeared, and suddenly the family that once looked down on everyone else was struggling financially. Around that same time, my life was moving in the opposite direction. I had left my job and started a small supply company. The first few years were rough, but eventually the business started doing really well. Nothing crazy, but more than enough to live comfortably. Then about 4 months ago, I discovered something that changed everything. Allison had left her phone on the kitchen counter. A message popped up, then another. The conversation made it very clear she had been seeing another man, and it wasn't new. She'd been involved with him for almost a year. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I called my lawyer and asked him to pull out that prenup her father had insisted I sign all those years ago. My lawyer read it carefully and smiled. "Good news," he said. "This agreement works both ways," which meant something very simple. My company, my savings, my investments all stay mine. And Allison, she didn't really have anything in her name. When I finally served her the divorce papers, she completely broke down. She cried, apologized, said it was just a mistake. She promised she would fix everything. But the truth is, the betrayal itself wasn't what hurt the most. What hurt was realizing that after all those years, she never really understood me at all. I told her calmly, I didn't make this decision out of anger. I made it after thinking about it for a long time. Our divorce should be finalized in a few weeks. Sometimes people ask me if I feel bad that Allison is walking away with almost nothing after more than 2 decades of marriage. I always give them the same answer. I'm just honoring the agreement her family made sure I signed all those years ago. And honestly, sometimes life has a funny way of holding people accountable to the very rules they create.